AITA for telling the teacher to stop making comments on my wheelchair. I'm 18F. Have a pretty messed up pair of legs. Have had since birth. I can walk, but am an ambulatory wheelchair user. I'm currently due an upgrade for my chair. I've had it close to 7 years and it's a bit messed up. It's gotten pretty uncomfortable and it makes noise, but like I said, I've had it 7 years and I've grown rather attached to it. We are saving to pay for the new one at the moment. I have one teacher, my English teacher, who constantly makes comments about how banged up looking it is, and gets pretty pissed anytime I dare move, and it makes noise. She says it's distracting. The comments about the appearance of the chair annoy me a lot, because it's hardly going to look brand new after 7 years of constant use. She made a comment this morning along the lines of, you should really get a new one. That one looks like it's about to collapse under you. I got really mad about this and I said, you know what? If you think I should get a new chair so bad, you can pay the nearly 4 grand it's gonna cost, or you can stop making nasty comments about something that literally doesn't affect you. She didn't really look at me until the end of the class, but the boy who sits beside me said it was slightly as churlish as she probably didn't realize how difficult the process was. AITA. NTA. Mobility aids are often expensive and slow to get the right fit for the individual. It doesn't take someone with vast medical knowledge to know this. And even if it did, she's an adult and supposed to be a professional. It's not acceptable for her to pass comment on any aspect of a student's appearance. Sadly, in my experience, a lot of people have no idea how expensive wheelchairs can be, or how long it can take to get a new one. It can take months for insurance to approve the purchase, then months to get the one company approved by the insurance company to take measurements. Then the chair may have modifications that take time to make. One time when my then 7-year-old nephew outgrew his manual chair, it took 9 months to get the new chair, start to finish, and by that time he had grown so much that the old chair was very uncomfortable. His manual chairs run about 5,000. His last power chair was 8,000. After all the modifications were done, insurance sets the limits on how often they can be replaced. To be completely honest, my mom hid the cost from me for a long time. It wasn't until we were discussing the new one last year that she really outlined the cost. My wheels alone are $550 each. Footplate with holes to let rain and water through is going to cost more than a full one for less footplate. Something needs to go under the seat to stop it from warping and bending and messing my hips up like this one. That costs a couple hundred. Calf strap being secured in one place is gonna cost extra. Carbon fiber clothes gourds. And we are not accounting for anything that may need to be changed or fixed after. This is all out of pocket too. Chronic healthcare and mobility devices are so damned predatory. These things are neither optional nor luxury, especially having one that won't cause further or new damage. And after 7 years, I can only imagine it was way too big for 11 you is way too small now, or somewhere in between. That's horrendous. It's snug. I've stayed relatively the same size aside from getting some nice hips and a booty, and height wise I'm only 2 inches taller since I had a spinal fusion. Had to remove the clothes gourds for comfort, and now I can't wear skirts or dresses without ruining them. Seat is warped, that's really uncomfortable and painful at times, and everything wobbles. Wibble wobble. It's not uncomfortable size wise, but it is every other way. NTA. It's bizarre and so rude to comment on someone's wheelchair. Has she just crawled out from under a rock? Of course wheelchairs are expensive. I would reach out to the principal just to be sure she doesn't hold this against you come time for grades. NTA. It is not your responsibility to educate her. She got what she deserved. Totally NTA and good for you op. You should go one step further and report the teacher to the administration for harassment. She might not realize how difficult the process is. Give me a break. She's a teacher. Nay, she's an adult. She knows things. Like not to publicly embarrass a student, or not to be a terrible role model to the kids witnessing it, or not to be an ableist, or how about not to be a shitty person. NTA. This, and she should know to educate herself before making assumptions. It is literally her job to be educated and to educate. It's one thing for this comment to come from a random person on the street. But from a teacher? No, not on. NTA Your teacher however is a insensitive moron at best. You called her out perfectly. High school is heck to begin with and teachers are supposed to lead by example, not act like they're a teenager. NTA she should have spoken to you quietly and away from the other students. I know how expensive wheelchairs are as my middle kid's wheelchair is worth $10,500 plus and that's just a basic chair with thoracic support. Belt and harness points for traveling in a wheelchair van. Edit, would the school possibly consider doing a fundraiser to help purchase you a new wheelchair? NTA Your teacher was being kinda ableist. It's common decency to keep thoughts relating to someone's visual disability to yourself. And the fact she wasn't even trying to be constructive or helpful and was taking it out on you for your wheelchair being old run down honestly sounds kinda gross. I think how you replied was pretty much how anyone else in your situation would have. If the teacher was actually a good person, and by extension a good teacher, she could have pulled you aside after class and asked if your situation with a wheelchair was okay for you. All she accomplished was implying your presence was a disturbance. So, ableism. NTA all that is exactly what I was thinking. It is not your fault that you constantly use what you need to move around and it needs replacing. It's none of her business. I would honestly continue to use that wheelchair at school, even when you get the new one, just because I'm petty like that. Good job sticking up for yourself. The kid in class is probably just ignorant to how hurtful her words are. Good on you for calling her out op. Maybe next time she'll think before she makes a snide comment to you or any other student. NTA. Definitely agree with the other commenters recommending you make a report to your school. She's singling you out as a result of your disability and could potentially retaliate now you've called her on it. NTA. And go above her and report her. She is literally harassing you over your disability. If anyone else has heard her say these things to you, ask them to say something as well. Hopefully you have some understanding classmates. That is absolutely not okay in the slightest. She is an educator. I wouldn't feel comfortable with someone like that teaching my child, whether they are disabled or not, just because of her obvious lack of a filter and empathy. I want to make this very clear. You did absolutely nothing wrong. In fact, you did everything right. You should not have to take abuse from someone who is supposed to keep you safe and help you. NTA. She is openly harassing a differently abled student. Please report her to the administration and principal for her bullying behavior. Good for you for standing up to her. You are completely in the right and I'm proud of you for what you said. Please subscribe.